Yo, parish overlords and retrogrades. Happy Monday. Such a thing exists. Here on Rules for Retrogrades, you know I've come to actually hate having to do shows on Pope Francis's skullduggery, but that's necessary. That's part of the platform. I like bringing you guys positive content. Whenever it's a Francis show, it's negative content. Today's show is called Many Meetings, which is a Tolkien chapter out of the trilogy. So I thought it very fit because he met this morning with Monsignor Giles Walk, co-founder and prior general of the traditional community, the Institute of Christ the King Sovereign Priest. No further details, according to Michael Haynes, have emerged from the meeting yet. But you know it's probably not good. There's been saber rattling the last 2 weeks about more of a direct sustained attack on the TLM. ICKSP, of course, is one of the small handful of Latin Mass only congregations. So they had this meeting and no details have yet emerged, but I want to speculate a little bit. Also, a little under a week ago, midweek last week, Pope Francis's C9 Council of Cardinals, his closest consultators, concluded their 2-day meeting at the Vatican, according also to Michael Haynes, during which they again discussed the role of women in the church. Remember what's going on. This is the summer in the run-up to the October 24 Synod on Synodality, where they basically promised they're going to do a non-sacramental women diaconate. An Anglican female prelate spoke at the C9 meeting in February on the topic also. And we've heard from her a few different times. I can do a fast translation of the document they released. There's another meeting that took place a little bit before that. I don't really care about this. This is from like the 8th of June. Francis announced that he met at the Vatican with comedians from around the world on the 14th. U.S. comedians attending include Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, Jim Gaffigan, Whoopi Goldberg, James Martin. We don't mean James Martin, Slim Jim Martin, you naughty thing. SJ, we mean James Martin. Tig Notaro, Chris Rock, Conan O'Brien. The Vatican issued a statement. So we'll take these 3 kind of paradigm examples of who Francis meets with and why. I think the 3 taken together show something, evince something telling about the Francis pontificate. And it's hard to say anything useful or original at this point, 11 years in. I think this show still manages to do that. I mean, we talked about Archbishop Vigano last week. I gave the analysis that's typical of this show. We're sympathetic to the message. I don't get the brashness. The certitude. I'll tell you things when I'm certain, but I don't know Vatican II is a bum council. I don't know Francis is a fake pope. These things seem like, maybe they could be. I don't know. I'm not going to go with them, though. Kind of pass Gallian wager, applying it to ecclesiology. So the meetings of Francis give us an insight into what's going on, even to unrelated topics like Vigano, or Synod on Synodality, or the China deal. And I'm going to share those insights in today's show. First, I want you to remember that there are 4 real pillars of this show: patriarchy, subsidiarity, right-wing organizing, and re-education. For too long, I've tried not to bother you with the 4th, the re-education, homeschool yourself. And on timothyjgordon.com, we have a catalog of homeschooling and adult education. These terms are kind of fake and meaningless, the distinction between homeschooling and adult education. Classical education says they're all the same. Listen to the classes we have. They're all $75 aside from this first one, which is $175. This will be live starting on September 11th, the One Flesh class, how Catholic marriage actually works. That'll go live. First class will be on September the 11th. It's for you and your spouse because you were never shown how to do Catholic marriage the right way. how to get out of fights, how to avoid fights. We will be in the particulars. It's 9 courses. The rest of these are all $75. How to create your own homeschool. It's 4 lectures. They're incredibly valuable because you watch this one thing and you won't need a homeschool curriculum. Curriculum was created by communist John Dewey at the University of Chicago. You should be creating your own homeschool classroom and program. If you feel like you don't have a lot of education, you don't know how to do it, you will after you listen to these 4 courses. That's number 2. Number 3, recorded Thomas's Shorter Summa in 7 lectures. $75. It's pre-recorded. A recorded church history class, or real European history. That's 21 lectures. Number 5, an Ask Your Husband book class, taught directly by Steph herself to the ladies. Ladies are allowed to teach the ladies. That's 8 lectures. Each of the 8 chapters of Ask Your Husband. You'll just go through the book with her. What sounds better than that? A Catechism of Trent study course in 6 lectures, $75. 7th, a Baltimore Catechism class in 9 lectures, $75. A Tolkien class, Introduction to Middle-earth seminar, 21 lectures. That's taught by my friend Anthony. He's also doing the Wednesday night reading group. We're going all the way through the trilogy. But before you do that, if you want to become a Locals of Subscribe Star patron, take this class for $75. Introduction to Middle-earth seminar. Number 9, probably the greatest value on this catalog. Aristotle's Ethics in 25 lectures. We go through pretty much every teaching in all 10 chapters of Aristotle's Ethics. 25 lectures for $75. It's like $3 a lecture, and it's the most important secular book you can read. 10, Intro to Latin, Semester 1 in 14 lectures, $75. Intro to Latin, second semester in 14 more lectures. That's 10 and 11. Number 12, Introduction to the U.S. Constitution, taught by yours truly. 14 lectures. You'll actually know what you're talking about with the U.S. Constitution. This is like my second education. Only law school education at the best constitutional place. I took like 9 courses on jurisprudence or constitutional law at the specialty place. USD Law with the Originalism Center. $75 for that. 14 lecture U.S. Constitution Introduction. 13th, U.S. History class. 15 lectures. Number 14 class, New Testament in 15 lectures. Number 15, Catholic Social Teaching in 15 lectures. Number 16, Rules for Retrograde book class in 10 lectures. And then finally, 17th, a Catholic Republic class going through all 7 of that book's chapters, 2 lectures per class for a grand total of 14 lectures. I mean, this is just a great value. For $75, what better way to use your summer than to learn about these real issues? These courses can be taught to smart high school kids or smart adults. I guarantee you it's all a new approach. Go to timothyjgordon.com and click enroll and use your summer wisely. But the first one I really wanted to talk about is, I guess, the main ministry that Steph and I run, helping Catholic couples. They need the help. You were not taught what you needed to be taught to be a Catholic couple. They lied to you about feminism. And that had praxeological implications for what to do to avoid fights and get out of fights. It's going to be very specific. It's going to be very good. Join today. If you want to support this channel, Locals and Subscribe Star, please, we're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. So subscribe to this channel, like it, all that. Okay. So let's talk about Francis's many meetings. It's a Tolkienian phrase. Sorry, I have a little summer cold, so it's been a bit of a challenge. Now, the first meeting I want to talk to you about is this meeting this morning with Father Monsignor Giles Walk, co-founder Prior General of the traditional community of ICKSP. We don't know exactly what they said yet. We know that it's Francis, the vindictive, taking on the TLM. It's been 3 summers since he released Traditionis Custodes. He hates the Latin Mass and he hates the people that it's for, by and for. No news there. I know everyone wanted me to do a show on the saber rattling of the last 10 days. And I'm like, look, there's nothing new to say. But here's what I know. He's going to move forward with a more clear, less ambiguous, more aggressive, less passive aggressive program of basically taking apart the Latin Mass. And you guys know that too. But it's important to see, again, who he considers an enemy, who he calls in as an enemy. Monsignor Giles Walk, he's one of the rigids that Francis doesn't like. We know Vigano, obviously. We know Monsignor Strickland, obviously. We know outgoing CDF. A couple outgoing CDFs are considered enemies by him. Cardinal Ladaria, Cardinal Mueller. We don't know what he's going to do with Cardinal Burke. And that's interesting because at one point he was enemy number one of Francis. But Francis always has his mind on two things, evidently. Don't forget this. Advancing the subversive agenda. So pushing female deacons, which we're going to talk about in a second, and taking out his opponents. Procedurally, the left is very good at what they're supposed to be doing. Push your agenda, permanently disable the opponent's agenda. And that's what he's doing. And he's the perfect man for the job because he's naturally vindictive. Subversives who get into power and aren't naturally vindictive, they're like, all right, I'm going to push our agenda. I don't know if I really need to be mean to all our enemies. And so they're only doing half the job. There's offense, pushing your agenda, and defense, permanently disabling the Monsignor Walks of the world. He's doing both. He's a two-way player, as we say in basketball. Good at offense, which most NBA stars are good offensive players. He's also good at defense. Okay, this brings me to the meeting that Francis had 5.5 days ago with the C9. The Council of Cardinals concluded their 2-day meeting at the Vatican, during which they again discussed the role of women in the church. An Anglican female prelate spoke at the C9 meeting in February on this topic also. They also discussed safeguarding. Now, the demonstration was made by Sister Linda Pocher, Pocher. We've heard from her for 3 years in the Synod on Synodality. Also, Donata Horak and some others. Sorry about that.
Names are so odd.
They're bad. They're pushing this agenda. Summer colds are the worst. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. I'm going to get a cough drop. Sorry, parish orphans. I'm not abandoning you. Oh, there it was. Yeah.
There you go.
The worst part about coughing interludes is I used to get these in the classroom occasionally. These look kind of rotten, these cough drops.
That might actually be responsible for what just happened.
Is you don't know if it's
Apologies.
over. And when you're teaching, I mean, when you're talking to a bunch of people you haven't met, there it is. Also, when you're teaching in front of a room full of college freshmen at a college where I taught, or high school seniors, they're not that mature, and it's really funny when a guy is up there coughing his ass off, and he's trying to get back to a position of dignity. He's trying to get back to dignity. He's like, okay, well, thank goodness that's over. And I mean, that just happens again and again and again. And speaking of indignity, these cough drops are like 5 years old.
I'm sorry. I was like, just you were having like a coughing up a lung, and I was just running downstairs, and I just grabbed like the first expired bag.
They have something in them that
I
will.
can find.
Holy cow.
Apologies.
No, thank you.
Our kids
They're
have
bizarrely
this.
squishy, the cough
Oh,
drops.
they're not supposed to be. It's like on Frasier, whenever was it Niles? He takes a bag of Cheetos that Eddie had been like Eddie the dog had been like eating out of, and he's like, "Aren't Cheetos supposed to be crunchy?" Yeah, they are.
The puffy
Sorry.
ones aren't.
Our kids have had a terrible cough the past week, and Tim and I were talking a big game yesterday about how it hadn't transferred to us yet, and so here we are today.
This is why in my 40s, I don't talk a big game. I was a very cocky Caucasian basketball player and a mouthy young man by anyone's measure. I've been humbled. Never talk a big game, because the second you say, I don't get colds, this is what happens. Even when they go through the family. I wasn't coughing this morning much.
Like literally, you coughed like twice downstairs, and now it's like
I was like, this could be annoying.
crisis.
Let me read you the Alla Stampa della Santa Sede Bollettino. I'm going to be translating in real time. Another thing not to be cocky about. This is from June the 18th. Communication from Sala della Stampa della Santa Sede. Circa della Riunione of the Council of Cardinals. The 17th and 18th of June was held the session of the Council of Cardinals at the Casa Santa Marta. The following were present with the Pope, the Cardinals, any of whom have a part in the Secretary of the Council. We're going to get to naming them. I was doing that when I was hacking up along. The 17th, the reflection on the feminine role in the church, leaving from the presentation of three women. The afternoon opened with an introduction of Sister Linda Poker. Sorry, less than perfect translation. Seguita Dali. Following from the interventions of Valentina Rotondi, Professoressa, I like that they have the S on there, at blah, blah, blah in the department, Newfield College, Oxford, Donata Horak, teacher of canonical right in the Alberoni University, affiliated with the Pontifical University of Angelicum, where I took classes. Thomistic university, right in the center of the universities, 7 Pontifical universities in Rome. Now, Linda Pocher has been involved in every stage of the Synod on Synodalities. So she was in that regional diocesan stage. She kept making presentations. The name sticks out. She was at the next stage. She's at the final stage. So she plays some sort of important role. more than that, it's probably just they like what she's saying. Remember, the rule of Francis is he finds someone that says something he wants to say and says it decently, and then he keeps going back to him until they say something else. So I could read you more about what they presented here.
Could you? Can you?
Can you though? It's basically what we expect. The women need to have a heightened role in the church. Francis acknowledges this. The Council of Nine Cardinals acknowledge this. And the Synod on Synodality will address it. Acknowledge, address. Francis knows it. If we're given the parliamentary model, he's the monarch. The Council of Cardinals are with him, and together they will address it. So remember, just so you don't forget. Remember so you don't forget. They're going to do women deacons that are non-ordained. Women deacons that are non-sacramental. I told you this. September the 30th and October the 2nd, in 2 consecutive shows before, I think the day before, the Synod on Synodality opened in October 2023. People said, you're crazy. People said, how do you purport to know this? What else did they say then? They hadn't given any indication if this is how it would go. I'm just judging Francis based on 2014, 2015 twin family synods plus Amoris Laetitia. Sorry, this cold is fogging up my brain. That's the Francis model. I applied the tricks that he ran in the Extraordinary Synod, October 2014, the finaglings over the next year, the Ordinary Synod, October 2015. He made some changes. He had his main lieutenants saying, oh, I'm out. I'm not going to be, or, Francis no longer favors me. Francis isn't going to do this. Francis is going to do that. Then he confused the hell out of everyone. A year apart, went silent. 6 months later, releases Amoris Laetitia. He gone to communion for divorce and remarried, away from it, back to it, in a vague way. 6 months after April 2016, in September, October, he institutionalizes the letter by the Buenos Aires bishops saying, yes, this is what we're doing. It's exactly what he's done with female deacons, longer timeline. And Linda Pocher seems to be the lady who's making these presentations that he likes the most. So, then Francis had met with, on the 14th, whatever that is, a little over a week ago, all these goofballs, all these clowns. Colbert, Fallon, Gaffigan, Goldberg, James Martin, Notaro, Chris Rock, Conan O'Brien. He's got a bread and circuses program. Between each of them, there's a Vatican statement about it, saying that Francis will meet with the protagonists of the field of comedy from various parts of the world. The audience will be held in the Apostolic Palace, 8:30 a.m., Friday, June 14th. The event aims to establish a link between the Catholic Church and comic artists.
Very important work.
Yeah, important work. It's bread and circuses, too.
Were we just saying the other day that the Vatican isn't collaborating enough with American comics?
I was saying that on June the 13th.
I remember writing about it.
Like, why aren't there more clown shows coming out of the Vatican? No one said that. Everyone's like, this is weird. The weirdest time ever to be alive, where parish orphans and retrogrades, you and I live. It's just normal, a little normal to us. We're talking about aliens, fake aliens, UFOs, Nephilim today at lunch. And we were just saying, this is the weirdest time ever to be alive. Because remember, the CIA, I think it was Alan Dulles, one of the big head honchos in the early CIA, said that the goal of the CIA is to make it so that in late 20th century and early 21st century American life, the average American doesn't know fact from fiction, a real conspiracy from a fake conspiracy. They won't be able to tell which way is true north, which way's up. And they went and they did it. And this is the funny thing with aliens. It's the funny thing with presidential elections. And it's a funny thing with this pontificate. You don't know what's real. This is basically an adapted John Paul Sartre line. In an age of absurdity, drama dies. Melodrama dies. Comedy is all that remains, because it's the banality of the absurd, which all people can make sense of. So Francis is deaconizing women on the one hand. He's desacralizing the Mass in more and more crystallized ways, going after the holy priests of ICKSP. So he's destroying the church as a patriarchy by bringing more women in. And he's destroying what the clerical patriarchy is there to do, celebrate the sacraments, exclusively qua men. That's his whole job. He's a subversive. He's there to subvert. And okay, that's all negative. He doesn't want to be perceived as negative. So what's he doing? What's he doing on the side? Well, he's giving you guys a clown show. He's working with the clowns of the world.
And women who think they're funny.
And women who think they're funny, yeah. Grant me, O Lord, a sense of humor, the Holy Father prays daily in the words of St. Thomas More. It is a grace that I ask for every day. Pope Francis has said, because it lifts you up, makes you see the passing nature of life and take things in the spirit of a redeemed soul. It is a human attitude, but it's the closest to the grace of God. Pope Francis said this in an interview in 2016. The man of God can be recognized because he is capable of living with a sense of humor. Though completely realistic, they radiate a positive and hopeful spirit. Well, these comics are not men of faith who radiate a hopeful sense of humor. Let's go through them. Stephen Colbert, agnostic atheist. Jimmy Fallon, pathetic beta. I don't know what he is. Jim Gaffigan, fallen Catholic. Whoopi Goldberg, what the hell is she? I don't even know what category to put. She's just a freak. James Martin shares a name with Father Slim Jim. Chris Rock, Conan O'Brien. I mean, Conan O'Brien's the one here that I have a lot of natural pathos for. I do think he's a talented guy. He lists the Monorail Simpsons episode as one of his greatest achievements. He seems to have good in him, but they're all, Chris Rock, they're all kind of part of the glitterati Illuminati who are not men of faith that understand the passingness of life with a kind of Christic hope. These are atheists, agnostics at best, who are enemies of what the church stands for and has always stood for. I like one or two of them. That's not the point. Francis says, I'm meeting with the comedians. This will be a good meeting. This is going to be positive. I'm meeting with this holy priest, Monsignor Walk from ICKSP. That's not going to be a good meeting. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. Details will be leaked probably tonight, tomorrow. It's not going to be a good meeting, though. Father Monsignor Walk is not going to be happy after he meets with me. These comedians will be like, oh yeah, Pope Francis was really jolly. He was happy to meet with us. And you already know, making good with the world, not with the people. But the real game is the meeting with more women. Why do women need, has anyone questioned why do women need to have an expanded role in the church? How about the role Jesus gave them? Or the apostles? Or Pius V? Or just pick any time. You never ask the question with progress, why? Not only can it not happen because there are institutional governors on women deacons, whether they're sacramental or not, but why the progress? Why do we need to change it? Because Francis and the subversives are with the world. And those 3 meetings tell you everything you need to know about his priorities, where he's been, where he's going. I was talking to Patrick Coffin this morning on the phone. I talked to him a couple of times today. And he said something interesting. I was saying, this era should be over soon, 11 years of Francis. He said, I'm not sure. He might be around for a long time. Think about that. That's something I've never considered on this show. I thought this is coming to an end. A day, a week, a month, a year. What if Francis is around for 11 more years? Have you thought about that? He's not 95.
I am now.
What?
I am now.
I am now. It's just weird.
Heavens.
So, meeting with clowns, meeting with feminists, meeting with a holy leader of the church. It's going to go probably best for the clowns, a little bit less good for the feminists, and worst for Monsignor Walk. That's Francis in a nutshell. I'm telling you, this summer, late summer, we're going to get the non-sacramental deaconettes. Keep your eyes on it. God bless you all. If you want to do something positive, 4 pillars of the channel, patriarchy. We got a lot happening with this. I can't tell you everything. It's going to be big.
Big meetings.
Don't go to college. Instead of going to college, go to timothyjgordon.com and pick any one of our 17 excellent courses. Most of them are $75. Subsidiarity. Get out of your blue state. Get to a red state today. Go to www.realestateforlife.org and get someplace. I chose the most conservative state and the most Christian state. Those are both verifiable about Mississippi here.
And the most beautiful state.
And the most very beautiful. On a more subjective level. And then, of course, right-wing community organizing. That's kind of what I'm doing with the subsidiarity. Get people around you believe with. You have fellow feeling with. You share values with. That's what you can do. These are the positive 4 aspects of the channel. And of course, if you're a lady out there, instead of reading Case for Patriarchy, read Ask Your Husband. Steph teaches you how to do patriarchy as a woman in Ask Your Husband. Big things around the corner. God bless you all. Sorry about the coughing fit. That was weird. It's fault.